Welcome back. Thanks for joining me again. Sam the electrician here, talking about Western independence and Alberta separation. Today, Wexit Alberta emailed a press release out to the people. I got it in my inbox this afternoon. So I wanted to read from that right away here to start the video and then discuss some of the ideas presented in this press release. Subject: breaking referendum now, major protest scheduled. The details: Wexit Alberta will hold a major protest rally to demand that Premier Jason Kenney and the governing United Conservative Party legislate a bill to hold a referendum on the lawful secession of the province of Alberta from the Confederation of Canada. The protest will be held at 11 a.m. on Saturday, January 11th, 2020 at the Edmonton Legislature grounds north side of the building. RSVP here, and there's a link that you can RSVP. You can find that on the website, the Wexit website, info@wexitalberta.com. And then it goes on to say, there's lots more of this press release. Mr. Kenney was elected by Albertans in April 2019 to ferociously defend Alberta's economic and political interests from increasing attacks from a hostile Trudeau Liberal government in Ottawa. However, the only solution that Alberta's Premier has offered is to conduct a listening tour to allow people to discuss reclaiming some of Alberta's constitutional powers, along with a nonsensical, non-binding referendum on whether Alberta wants to maintain the current federal equalization formula, which Mr. Kenney himself created as part of the Harper government in 2013. Mr. Kenney needs to understand that the time for window dressing and puffery is over. We demand a referendum on separation now. Just a side note, it's nice to see that other people in the movement and Wexit feel the same way as I do. As I said in my last video, why I think this equalization referendum will never happen. It's a non-starter, and go back and check my video out as for the reasons why, and obviously other people agree with me, which is great. Anyway, back to the press release. We Albertans are known for our generosity and patience. We are generous in giving Mr. Kenney and his United Conservative Party 63 members of Legislative Assembly to govern our fair province. However, we suspect that Mr. Kenney is holding back his efforts to truly fight back against Ottawa in order to protect his own ambitions to return to Ottawa as the Prime Minister of Canada. Mr. Kenney is not dropping the gloves, he is pulling his punches. And I've said that many times. You guys have heard me, if you've watched my videos, that's where I believe Jason Kenney's political ambitions lie, is Ottawa and Prime Ministership. Next paragraph says, the Trudeau government has publicly committed to phasing out Alberta's oil sands industry. The Trudeau government has publicly committed to removing our freedom of speech. The Trudeau government has publicly committed to increased foreign borrowing and foreign spending. The Trudeau government has publicly committed to the confiscation of firearms from lawful owners. The Trudeau government has publicly committed to increasing carbon taxation and wealth transfers away from Alberta starting January 1st, 2020. Get ready, it's coming. And Justin Trudeau himself has publicly stated that, quote, all of Canada belongs to Quebec. It's true, he said that. And then it says, Albertans take Justin Trudeau at his word, so why doesn't Jason Kenney? It goes on to say, is Jason Kenney more concerned with becoming the Prime Minister of Canada rather than serving Albertans as the Premier of Alberta? Does Jason Kenney believe that he is too good to be the leader of an independent Alberta? His actions will speak louder than his words. Regardless of Jason Kenney's motives, the power of government rests with the people who consent to be governed. Jason Kenney and the UCP can be replaced, but our heart's cry for independence will never die. We, the people, demand a referendum on separation. We, the people, demand it now. Join us on January 11th, 2020, and take your stand. And that's it. So, very interesting piece of information from Wexit. I believe that there are three possible outcomes of this particular protest. In the optics sphere, Wexit will come out of it looking really good or really bad. The really bad would come from a super low turnout. Holding it in January is a gamble. Could be -30, and even interested people aren't going to be that motivated to show up in a blinding snowstorm and wind chill that can freeze your skin. There might be counter protesters there as well, and if they outnumber the separatists, then Wexit's going to look pretty hokey. A moderate turnout would be sort of par for the course, and then a very large turnout would be great optics, and the momentum would be gained in the movement. And I know some of the comments are going to say we got to strike while the iron is hot and we got to do this now. And I agree to some extent. It's just risky for the optics of having a failed protest rally where almost nobody shows up. So, you know, it's a brave gamble on Wexit's part. The other thing that I would say, being more of a marathon guy than a sprint guy, is the only way we're going to get this done is to form or get behind an already existing provincial party, such as the Alberta Independence Party that already exists, and get behind a provincial party that can make this happen in the legislature instead of depending on a federalist like Jason Kenney to do it and threatening Jason Kenney. He's just going to dig in his heels even more and say to the rest of Canada, look, I'm stopping these angry separatists. I'm trying to unite the country. So I don't know. I think that the path is the longer but more sure one is to actually form provincial government, vote people in that think like us and make it happen. That's how things actually happen. There's 3 types of Albertans, I think, when it comes to separation, possibly 4, a subcategory. The first category is the angry, we got to do this now, what I call the 1776ers, who, you know, say that it's our 1776 and it's time to, you know, almost violently leave Canada if necessary, the angry emotional reaction type. Then there's the sort of more measured guys like me that we can definitely do this. We know we can do this. And don't get me wrong, I'm fully on board with the 1776ers in their assessment of the urgency of it. But in reality and pragmatism dictates that the only way to actually get this done is to form our own political party and make it happen with the consensus of the people. You can't just hijack a province. You know, if you can't get the votes, then where does that leave you? A small violent minority trying to take Alberta out of the country without the consent of Albertans? No, we need to like grow the movement until it's overwhelming groundswell that just the movement's momentum will just carry us out. Then there's the fence sitters, the wait and seers. They will just go along pretty much either way. And then there's your hardcore loyalists, federalists, globalists, communists, who obviously want big government and overreach, and they don't like the idea of a independent Western Republic at all. And they'll fight us tooth and nail every step of the way. And most of the establishment is in that last category because, as I've said before, they're set up in the hierarchy. They're making the money. They run the show right now. They call the shots. So they're going to do everything they can to resist this. So interesting. Get out to the rallies if you can. If you're close and if you feel motivated, I think it's a great thing for if a lot of people show up. As I said, the optics can be awesome, and we can really move the movement forward. So yeah, that's it for today's video, and thanks for joining me. We'll see you tomorrow. Take it easy.